Okay, welcome to the deep dive. So if you're maybe knee-deep in college math right now, especially differentiation and integration, well, get ready. We're about to see integration pop up somewhere, maybe a little unexpected. Today we're digging into some source material that uses integration, that core math tool, to tackle a real-world environmental question. It's about figuring out the total CO euro a specific plant species absorbs over its entire lifetime. So our mission here is to really get why integration is the tool for this job and, what this tells us about math connecting with biology. Let's unpack it.
Right. And what's really interesting here is this core idea. Plants, well, they absorb Chiaro. We know that. It's vital. But the amount they take in, it's not like a steady flow. It changes.
It changes. How does
Yeah.
that work?
Just think about it. Tiny little seedling starting out. It absorbs way less Chiaros than, say, a huge mature tree.
Mm-hmm.
The rate, the speed at which it absorbs Chiaro, it varies a lot through its life. Depends on size, the season, sunlight, even temperature.
Yeah.
It's always fluctuating.
Okay, right. So if that rate keeps changing, you can't just measure it once and multiply by how long the plant lives. That feels simpler, but
Exactly. That wouldn't work.
Right.
That'd just give you a snapshot right at that one moment.
No.
But what we really want is the total accumulated amount. Every bit of co-euro it absorbed from when it was a tiny sprout right to the end. And that kind of problem, that's precisely what integration is built for. If you can model it. Gather data on the plant's growth, measure gas exchange maybe, track its biomass. You can create a function, a mathematical description of that changing absorption rate at any point in its life.
Ah, okay. It's sort of like figuring out the total distance you drove on a trip. Your speed wasn't constant, right? You speed up, slow down, stop. But if you knew your speed at every single second, integration lets you add up all those tiny bits of distance to get the exact total.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah?
Integration is the tool for summing up quantities when the rate defining them changes over some interval, like time in this case. It just accumulates the effect of that varying rate. And the source material we looked at does exactly this. They focused on one species, let's call it Arborea gigantica for fun. They used integration based on their data to quantify the total CO arrows sequestered by one of those plants, start to finish. They basically put a precise number on its lifetime carbon contribution.
Wow. Okay. So for you listening, working through those integration problems in class, that this is it. This shows how those squiggly integral signs and the dx, they aren't just symbols. They're actually vital for understanding and measuring complex dynamic things in the real world, like a plant's carbon uptake over decades.
Absolutely. It takes integration from being maybe an abstract math concept to a really practical tool in environmental science. It's how we measure cumulative impact when things are just simple and constant.
It really puts it into perspective.
Yeah, and it makes you think this analysis was for one species. But think about the huge diversity of plants out there, entire forests, whole ecosystems. How could we potentially scale this up? Use integration or maybe adjusted methods to estimate carbon sequestration for a whole region or even globally. And of course, what kind of huge challenges would pop up? Getting the data, building models for all those different species and conditions. It definitely gives you something to mull over.